At 82 years old, I've lived a life full of lessons. Some were learned through joy, others through hardship. But there is one decision that still lingers in my heart with a tinge of regret. Moving into a nursing home. At the time, it seemed like the best choice. My family meant well. They assured me I'd have comfort, care, and companionship. I believed them. And yet, once I stepped into that new world, I realized how much I had left behind. If you're considering this path for yourself or a loved one, I want to share 6 things I wish I had known before I made that life-changing move. My hope is that by reading this, you can make a more informed, heartfelt decision. Before we begin, if you enjoy this video, please hit the like button to support the channel and help me continue sharing meaningful lessons for aging well. If you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss future videos. Regret number 1, losing my independence. The biggest shock wasn't the smaller room or the set meal times. It was the loss of control over my own life. Before I moved, I chose when to wake up, what to eat, and how to spend my days. I could take a walk when the mood struck or sit quietly with a book in my favorite chair. In the nursing home, life ran on someone else's schedule. Breakfast was at a fixed time. Lights out followed a routine. Even something as simple as going outside required permission and assistance. I remember waking up one morning during my first week, reaching for the book I had been reading at home, only to realize it wasn't there. My chair wasn't there either. The comforting presence of my life was gone. It struck me then. I wasn't in charge of my day anymore. The small freedoms I once took for granted had quietly slipped away. If you're considering this move, ask yourself, are you ready to give up the simple choices that shape your days? Because once they're gone, you might find yourself missing them far more than you expected. Regret number 2, feeling forgotten. When I first arrived, my family visited often. My daughter would drop by once a week, and my grandkids came on weekends. It was comforting, but over time, the visits became less frequent. Calls replaced in-person conversations. Holidays came and went with promises that didn't always come true. Slowly, I began to feel forgotten. I remember sitting in the common room one holiday, watching the door. Others around me did the same. We all waited for someone to walk through and say, "I came to see you." The truth is, when you're not part of daily life, it's easy for people to assume you're okay. They think you're being cared for and that you're adjusting. But inside, the silence grows louder. Love doesn't fade, but time and distance change how it's expressed. If you're thinking about a nursing home, know that connection to the outside world may fade, even if the love remains. Be prepared to nurture those relationships in new, more intentional ways. Regret number 3, losing my sense of purpose. Before moving, I had routines that gave my life structure and meaning. I watered my plants, prepared my meals, even just swept the porch to feel productive. These weren't chores. They were part of what made me feel useful. In the nursing home, most of those tasks disappeared. Meals were prepared for me. Cleaning was done by staff. I told myself I deserved the rest. But after a while, the long, quiet days felt empty. I wasn't tired. I was restless. There was a man named George who lived down the hall. He had been a carpenter. Back home, he built things constantly. Here, there was nothing for his hands to do. One day he said to me, "I feel useless," and I knew exactly what he meant. Purpose isn't about big accomplishments. It's about knowing that something you do matters. When you take that away, the mind and body both begin to slow. So ask yourself, what gives your life meaning today? And how will you hold on to it, even in a new environment? Regret number 4, declining health faster than expected. When I moved in, I was doing well for my age. I could walk without help, cook for myself, and do most things around the house. But once I settled into nursing home life, I noticed something. The more that was done for me, the less I did for myself. And the less I did, the more I lost. I stopped walking as much. My legs felt weaker. I needed help getting up from chairs. It was subtle at first, but within months, I felt like I had aged years. I met others who had similar stories. Alice, a vibrant 81-year-old, used to take morning walks. Then she used a walker, then a wheelchair. "I don't know when it happened," she told me, "but I feel like I aged 10 years in just a few months." In a place designed to care for you, It's easy to forget that movement is medicine. The more help you accept, the less strength you retain. If I had known this, I would have fought harder to stay active every single day. Regret. 5. Losing my privacy and dignity. Privacy is something we don't think about until it's gone. At home, I could close my door, take my time, and be alone when I needed. In the nursing home, staff came and went. Shared spaces meant shared noise. Even basic things like dressing or bathing required assistance. I know the caregivers meant well. They were kind. But needing help for things I had always done alone was hard to accept. Sometimes people knocked but didn't wait for a reply. Sometimes I felt like I was just another task on someone's list. And then there was the issue of roommates. Not everyone gets a private room. I was lucky, but others were not. Sharing close quarters with someone unfamiliar can be difficult, especially if their habits clash with yours. Losing privacy doesn't just affect your comfort, it affects your identity. You begin to feel less like yourself. Before making the move, think about how much that space of your own truly means to you. Regret number 6, it's harder to leave than you think. When I moved in, I thought it was temporary. I told myself, if I don't like it, I can leave. But the truth is, leaving isn't so simple. My house sat empty. My family had started to sell or give away some of my things. They had the best intentions. But when I said I wanted to go back, the conversation shifted. "Are you sure you can handle it?" they asked. "It might be safer here." They meant well, but the strength and confidence I once had was fading. In a place where I no longer had to cook or clean or walk far, I wasn't sure I could manage alone anymore. And that uncertainty kept me from leaving. Others felt the same. They had planned for a short stay, but found themselves unable to return home. Their house was sold or their finances no longer allowed it. The decision that once felt reversible had become permanent. Before you move into a nursing home, ask yourself, what will it take to return home if you change your mind? Because leaving might be more difficult than you ever imagined. Final thoughts. What I wish I knew. Looking back, I don't regret aging, but I do regret believing that a nursing home was my only option. I walked in hoping for ease and safety. What I found was something else entirely. It wasn't all bad. I met kind people. I was kept safe, but I lost things I didn't realize were so valuable. My independence, my privacy, my purpose, and eventually, parts of myself. That doesn't mean nursing homes are wrong for everyone. Some people truly need the level of care they provide. But for others, especially those still capable of living with some support, there may be better ways. If I could do it again, I would have explored every other option first: home care, assisted living, community programs. I would have asked more questions, pushed harder, and held on to my freedom as long as I could. So if you're facing this decision today, I hope my story gives you pause. Don't rush. Don't assume it's the only path. Think about what you're giving up, not just what you're gaining. Because once you step into that new world, going back isn't always easy. Your life today, with all its routines and choices, is something worth fighting for. Hold on to it, honor it, and know that you are not alone in wanting to live life on your own terms for as long as you possibly can. Thank you for reading. I hope my experience helps you make a decision not just with your head, but with your heart.